Welcome to the Devo Shalom Shir. I'm going to continue the second part of a shir I gave in March of 2023, 2 years ago. So then I gave the first part about the inyan of Shabbos and the Mishkan. This parsha is Vayakhel, and it talks about the Mishkan, the Tabernacle, and Shabbos. So let's get right into it. Devo Shalom says, V'yesh lomer bezeh, od hine b'farshos elu, shomase mishkan kashem od lahavin ha'inyan, shemasa mishkan choser v'nishte b'torah kodesh, kama pamim al kol pratim v'pratim pratim. He says, we have to understand why is the aspect of the Mishkan, all the details of the Mishkan, the Keli, the things that went into the Mishkan, why is it repeated so many times in the Torah? Every detail. It says, because we know Shari Anu Maminim Bemunu Shalemish called Os Batorah, he Kodesh Kadoshim V'Tori Tolim Shal Halachos Nilbudim Yoter Os Batorah Kodesh. We know, we believe with perfect emunah that every letter in the Torah is holy, and every letter teaches us something that we can learn from the Torah, from every letter in the Torah. So why all these extra letters? It seems extra, they're not extra. Hashem ma haricha la Torah kodesh ko harbe b'nyan Mishkan parsha. So why? Why does the Torah spend so much time in these parshas talking about the Mishkan? V'chei mitzvah Shabbos. Shneimar b'techilas parsha. Also, in the beginning of this parsha, it says, Moshe tells the people to gather the people, and then it talks right away about Shabbos. 6 days you shall do your work, 7th day you shall rest, and so on. So it says at the beginning of the parshas, and Uperish Rashi says, "Iktem lemazar Shabbos tzivi melechas hamishkan, v'amar she'ena doches Shabbos." So Rashi says that the Torah is teaching us the laws of Shabbos before the Mishkan, so that we know that when we're building the Mishkan, it doesn't set aside the laws of Shabbos. You can't build the Mishkan on Shabbos, right? You can only, you have to keep, Shabbos comes first. And in fact, as you referenced before, the 39 malachas, the 39 different kinds of work that are prohibited on Shabbos, comes from those things that are done in the Mishkan, the kinds of work that were done there. So this is why Shabbos is mentioned first, to teach us that. He says, if that's the case, should be enough just to say that the work of the Mishkan you can't do on Shabbos. Shabbos comes first. It's already been written many times in the Torah. Why is it repeated here? Says we have to remember that the whole purpose of every mitzvah, every commandment that we do in the Torah, the whole purpose of it is to cleave to God, to get closer to God. That a Jew will be close to God. He says that's a question that's asked many times. How does it happen that a human being who's enmeshed in materiality, how could you come close to Hashem? How could you cleave to Hashem? The way to do this is through the commandment of Kadoshim to you, you shall be holy. Kedushahi hareka v'hakadama liyehudi shiyochel yitavev Hashem yisborach ayidei targum. His holiness is the backstop and is the way for a Jew to reach a level of connecting to God, being close to God, being holy first. And you are holy through the Torah and the mitzvahs, the 613 commandments. Just at the time the Torah was given, when Hashem Hashem said to us, "Vatem tiyu mamleches kohanim v'goy kadosh, v'atem tiyu li." You shall be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, and you will be mine. Perish p'tei shetiyu li lahalki, shetiyu devukim elai. Meaning that since you are going to be a part of me, that you will cleave to me. Because when you're holy, you will be able to cleave to me. Aleichem liot goy kodesh. It's for you, Jewish people, to be a holy nation. It's called Klal Yisrael Yikadosh. All the Klal, the general, the entirety of the people of Israel should be holy. Uchein the Shtorsha Chazal, as our sages say, Al Apostle Anshe Kodesh Tili, you will be holy men to me, holy people to me. Kishatem Kadoshim Atem Shli. When you are holy, God says to the Jewish people, then you are mine. That's the way to reach it closest to God, by being holy. And this aspect of you should be holy to me is a general principle that includes everything that are prohibited, both the serious and the not so serious, the more strict and the not so strict. Even those things that are permitted, you have to be holy. Kol shomer Chazal, as we've said many times, Kadesh atzmecha b'ma shemuter lecha. Make yourself holy with those things that are permitted to you. Well, maybe I go in my Rashbitz, he says, mitzvos kadoshim to you, the mitzvos asay d'oraisa. The commandment of you shall be holy is one of the 613 commandments of the Torah, not just a foundation of being a Jew, but it's one of the actual positive commandments. It's counted among the 248 positive commandments. Shalolas bia gufo betavos heter. Teaches us not to satisfy ourselves from the not to be fully satisfied only with the permitted desires. And that's what it means to make them holy, not just to just stuff yourself, to be a glutton. Because of Shikra Kedusha Lamas Hatava Bilvavo Shi Nimusim Eslo Kilo Bemis Masi Behema. And he says that the main aspect of holiness is to really look at those desires that you have that are improper desires, look at them with disgust, and know that they're really your animal self that is asking for that you are these material things that you're looking for, they're really your animalistic desires, not your desires that a Jew should have. But Kamos, it says, Shinemar, Kadesh Atzmacha, make yourself holy. Shelo rak es hamasim yakdish. Not only the things should you make holy, Elahu ba'atzmo is Kadesh. You yourself should make yourself holy. Because he says you can make yourself holy with these things, not just that you're raising up the level of those things around you to a state of holiness, but in raising them up, you yourself are becoming holy. So it's a double thing there. And you will then be able to look and be able to raise to a level of holiness everything in this world. When we talk about holiness, the foundation stone of holiness is Shabbos. Says Al Pasuk, so God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. Shabbos hu mayin hakadusha l'chol inyani kedusha. Shabbos is a well of holiness for every aspect of holiness. V'chein beis mikdash inyani kedusha. Similarly, the holy temple, as was the tabernacle, is the whole aspect of it is holiness. Kirechsev, as it says, V'asali mikdash. God says, make for me a sanctuary, v'shochanti b'socham, and I will dwell in your midst. The whole purpose of a Jew is to make a sanctuary within him or herself. Make yourself for a mikdash. Where you are able to look with disgust at all the animal instincts that you have, then be able to come close and cleave to God. It says, I will dwell in your midst. Doesn't say in its midst, in the midst of the tabernacle, Ella, b'tocham, in your midst, b'toch kol echad v'echad, midst of every single Jew. And this dwelling that God says He's going to dwell within us when we make ourselves into a mikdash is applicable to every single Jew. Baderach lezeh, and that's the way to cleave to God. Baderach lezeh ba'asli mikdash, and the way is by making a mikdash, making a holy tabernacle, a holy temple of yourself. That everything that you see, all the things around you, everything that you're doing, all the reality of your life becomes raised up to a higher level of holiness. Chazal, as our sages have said in Gemara Sota, Ish v'isha zochu shchina shuri b'nehem. A man and a woman are privileged to have the presence of God rest between them. Shatachli shall kol taryag mitzvot u'shiyudi yikayim b'osli mikdash. The whole purpose of the 613 commandments is that a Jew shall fulfill and do the commandments and shall make of themselves a mikdash. Shu ba'atzmo yakodesh, you yourself will then become holy. Ubeso, in your house, yakodesh will become holy. And by doing that, by raising up everything to a higher level, you're raised with it, and then you fulfill what it says, I will dwell in their midst, in the midst of every single Jew. This is what our Parsha Vayakhel is talking about. Moshe told these things to the Jewish people the day after Yom Kippur, when he came down from the mountain. When he gave them the good news that God was forgiving them, after they fell so far away from God with the golden calf. So Moshe told them, "Shema'atem yecholim heim lashuv el Hashem yisborach gam la'acher shechata hamazeh chet gadola," teaching that you, Bnei Israel, can return to God no matter what kind of sin you've done. Even the greatest sin, God is waiting to receive you back. You can do tshuva. He gave us the way of doing tshuva, returning to God. The first advice he gave is Shabbos, because as Koach HaShabbos, the power of Shabbos after the sin, even after this serious sin, Shabbos is still the well of holiness. That's why it's repeated here, the Parsha of Shabbos in this Parsha, because it has to show the connection with with the Mikdash, with the Mishkan and the Mikdash. Lo diem Eitzah Rishon, to teach the first thing, Bechinas Hiktim Shabbos L'Melechas HaMishkan, to show that God was, that Shabbos was mentioned first before the work of the Mishkan. Shichu Asbel Shabbos Kodesh, you should take yourself to Shabbos. And by keeping Shabbos, you'll be able to reach a level of holiness and a cleaving to God. The first of the holy words is Misharotzel Nikra El Kadusha Lil Kadosh Eitzaso Shiatchal B'Shabbos Kodesh. The advice is to anybody who wants to become holy and come closer to God. The advice is to begin with Shabbos. Vod Eitzahi Inyan HaMishkan, and this is also the whole aspect of the Mishkan, of the Tabernacle or the base of Mikdash. Kamar Hashem Mishkan Inyan Kedusha. The Mishkan is holiness. Asuli Mikdash, make for me a sanctuary. When you make this mikdash of yourself, you make yourself a tabernacle, you make yourself a receptacle for God's holiness, then you are able to come close and cleave to God. Mishkan hay matar es Yisrael, the holiness, the work, every work that is done in the Mishkan, all the labors in the Mishkan, the 39 labors, they purify the children of Israel, they make them holy to remove them from the improper materiality of this world. You're able to fulfill, I will dwell in your midst. Va'avodas hakarbanos, and when we have the Mishkan or the temple, we have the service of sacrifices. The sacrifices bring you close to God and are constantly protecting you from sin. And he gives an example. He says, Tamid Shel Shachar. There are two specific sacrifices in the morning and the night. And the one in the morning, they give you atonement for the sins, the things you've done wrong during the night. And the one that's done in the evening, that is atonement for the things you've done during the day. The three different parts that were in the Mishkan and the Tabernacle are like the three parts of a person. Midos hamoach, the quality of the brain, of the intellect. Shebemoach yeshem kol hatayim ba'ashorshim shel kol ever v'chol pula shel adam. The mind controls every aspect. It sends out the cells of the brain, sends out messages to control every aspect of your life. Halev, in the heart, shekol kol hachamados hashechel halev. The heart controls all the emotions, all the things that are connected to the heart. Umidas vayvorim shamhu midor hatava, and the quality of the limbs that's what enables you to fulfill the desires that you want. As the Torah tells us, the eyes see, the heart desires, and the bodily parts do their bit to do what is prohibited. Badase hey gimel chalakim beis hamikdash. These were the three parts of the Beis Hamikdash she's talking about. What were they? Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, Keneged Hamach, which is like the brain, like the intellect. Shebohu Arono Edus V'Akruvim Asher Bizman Yisrael Osra Tzor Shel Mokom Padem Ishel Echad. the Kodesh Kodashim held the holy ark, and the kruvim that were on top of the ark that were turned towards each other whenever the children of Israel were doing the will of God. And then you have the Heichel, Neged Halev, the outer part outside of the Holy of Holies, the it's called the Heichel, the sanctuary, is like the heart. Shom Abda HaMenorah HaTahora Shohaisem Ir Israel Kol Machashkim. There the pure menorah stood that was a symbol and enabled the Jew to withstand and to have light in all the darkness. Shulchan, and the table, Asher Lifnei Hashem, Shemekabil Linyanu Achila, table represented the quality of eating. Shachila Kolalas Kol Nyoni Tavos. Isra eating is a generic term meaning all of the things that you desire, whether they're prohibited or whether they're permitted. A Mizbeach, Miktar Katoras Reach Tichot Lashem, the Chabal al Inyanim, Hilush Abraham Chet, Abel Enim Olim L'Reach Tichot. The altar on which the incense was burned gave a sweet smell to God, which is to atone for those things that you really haven't done a sin. You haven't done anything specifically wrong, but your actions did not reach the level of sweet incense to God, meaning did not reach the level of what God really wants you to do. Shamizbeach, Mikter Katoras Hayubatar Es Yisrael Minyanim Elu. That altar of burning the incense purifies the Jew from these things. Then you have the Azorah, the outer part of the Beis Hamikdash. Sham Amad Mizbeach Ola Keneged Midor Tava. There you have the altar where the burnt offering was given against, which represents you're getting atonement for your desires. It says, eternal light will burn on the eternal fire will burn on the mizbeach, on the altar. You should never put it out. Like the aspect of fire eating fire, fire destroying fire. The holy fire of the mizbeach, holy fire of the altar. The fire of the altar will burn up the fire of the Yetzer Hara that is trying to entice you. And of course, well, if we don't have a temple today, we don't have a mizbeach, but our table, when we're eating at our table, serving God, especially on Shabbos, that's like a mizbeach. It's like a mizbeach. And that's one of the reasons that we take, there are several, that's one of the reasons we take a knife off of the table before you bench, because you shouldn't have metal or metal instruments of death, which a knife can be, on the mizbeach, on the altar. So that's our mizbeach, and you have to treat it properly. And the fire that you bring, a fire of holiness, gets rid of the Yetzer Hara. Every aspect of the holy temple was to purify and to make holy the children of Israel. And they're two different things, Tahara and Kedusha. You can't reach a level of holiness unless you go through Tahara. Tahara means separating yourself from those things that you're not permitted to do. And then by doing that, you then will be able to reach a level of Kedusha with God's help. As it says, about the tire, also somebody wants to purify himself. We're not able always to complete the job, but as long as you're trying, God will help you finish the job. But Also, everything that was in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan, was designed to help a Jew reach this level of purity. And that's why we even repeat over and over the things about the Mishkan, about the Tabernacle. Ein oni mavinim es hamatara sha'aisa b'chol prat b'prat zelamala misechel anushe lavidos. We don't understand the specifics of each thing that are higher than we can grasp. Al the Torah Kodesh, but with the Torah, ein os achas mioteres. There's no extra letter. Anu maminim b'amudu shalema shkol masya mishkan hu keneged kol inyani ha'adam b'avodoso l'tar oso. So therefore, we understand that the recitation of all these things of the Mikdash is to teach us that the whole aspect of the Mishkan is to deal with every part of a human being to help purify him and raise him up to a higher level, to come closer to serving God. Therefore, this is written and repeated in the Torah. He gives an example of a parable of a person who's sick. The doctor gives him a certain medicine, certain prescription to heal him. The sick person doesn't know what's in this medicine, doesn't know how this is going to help him get a refuah, how this is going to help cure him. But he has faith in the doctor that the doctor is giving him the right prescription for his illness. And we know that Hashem always gives us the right prescription for illness. We know that Hashem creates the remedy before the sickness. Therefore, we understand that just as a doctor prescribes an appropriate medicine, God gives us an appropriate method through his mitzvos, through commanding us to do the mitzvos, to reach the level of becoming holy to God. When we say the blessing before we do a mitzvah, that you have made us holy with your mitzvahs. Your performing of the mitzvah makes you holy. Kol mitzvah. Achnisim kedusha. Every mitzvah that you do brings holiness into you. U'Messiah not something around can save you from evil. V'chein Beis Hamikdash hayu mikrav Yehudi, mikerav Yehudi, el Shem Yisparach, b'tachtim shnei mishlishim. So too, the Beis Hamikdash brings a Jew closer to serving God in the three aspects that we mentioned before. V'chol prat b'kol Mishkan hu l'tal l'kadosh b'kedusha l'yol hashayach lo soprat b'gufu shel. Every part of the Mishkan is to purify and make holy the Jewish person in every aspect of his living on this world. Shabbos, this is the aspect of the 39 works that are prohibited on Shabbos that we learn from the work of the Mishkan, of the Tabernacle. The preparation, the working, and putting together of the Mishkan involved 39 separate works. A parish bezed, what this means is Kilametet Malachas Kololim is called Anyonim HaChomerim Shalom Osibem Bolam Hazeh. They include all of the things, all of the material things that a person is involved with in this world. Shemalechas HaMishkan Haribu, as called Melchelas Elu, Likedusham Lashem Yisborah. These are all material things, whether it's making curtains, sewing curtains, building a mizbeach out of stone, putting these various things. They're all material things, but the work that is being done, the various labors that are done, these 39 labors of building the Mishkan, they raise up these works, because now you're not just digging a hole to put an altar in there, you're digging something for Kedusha. Everything that you're doing, they in the Mishkan was to bring holiness before God. So Shabbos, from this we learn the 39 forbidden works on Shabbos. Shagam b'Shabbos yesh koach hadusha l'kadosh kol melechas olam hazeh. The Shem Yisborach. The holiness of Shabbos gives us the power to make holy every single work, mundane work of this world. Make it holy to God. By how do you make it holy? How do you make the 39 generic types of work that you would do during the week holy? By resting on Shabbos, by keeping Shabbos and not doing the melachos on Shabbos. These were the two things that Moshe gave to Bnei Yisrael. Shichos with Shabbos Kodesh, to come close to Shabbos, bring Shabbos into your life, Levinyan Mishkan, and build a tabernacle in yourself, a place where the presence of God can reside. Bekivin sheshamozos kasiv marabim am lahavi bagodol l'siyas halev. When the Jewish people heard this, after having sinned with the golden calf, and Moshe's telling them these are two things that you have to do, and then God will forgive you for everything that you've done. Their spirits rose up. They understood now they're not cast away. God wants them. Wants God to return. God wants them to return to God again. For to reach this level of holiness, take some preparation. As Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said, it's a two-step process. Tahara mevili kedusha, purifying yourself by separating yourself from those things that are not permitted, is the entranceway, the doorway, the preparation to holiness. Kamosha Bavar Bazeh, Amasilis Shoshorim, as Shoshorim explains, Jinyan Tahara hu lefrosh lahater lahatire meharash b'chomri also. The whole aspect of purifying oneself is to separate and purify yourself from the negativity, the evil, as it were, of certain material things that you're drawn to. And through this, you're able to reach a higher level only when you have purified yourself of these material things. Dargo kedusha hi sheniya kahechal chmazbeach korban. The level of kedusha you're trying to reach, level of holiness, is you shall be like the heichal, like the sanctuary, and like the altar, and like the korban, the sacrifice to God. Everything that you do, you could raise up to a level to be like an offering to God. But you have to start in Tahara. Amru, and this is what it said: Zos kukas haTorah, asher tziva Hashem lemor. This week, in addition to Vayakhel, was Parshas Porah, the Parsha about the Porah Doma, the red heifer that was slaughtered and then ground up, put in water, and was used to purify people from a dead person and from other things, from tumah. So it's Porah Adumah, the red heifer. So that's the extra parsha. So he's saying now similarly, the parsha of Porah Adumah begins Zos Chukas HaTorah. This is the statute of the Torah. That God commanded you to say, and so on. Speak to the Bnei Israel, have them take a red heifer. The sages ask, why is it saying this is the statute, the law of the Torah? This mitzvah of Paraduma is only one specific of the 613 commandments of the Torah. Why does it say this is the statute of the Torah? Should have said this is the statute of the Torah, of the red heifer. Or chukas HaTorah, or this is the statute of purification. You have to understand with this, you have to understand that the aspect of purity is a general principle of the entire Torah. Tuma, defilement, those things that are you're not allowed to touch. That's the headquarters of the Yetzer Hara. But those chukas HaTorah, and this is the statute of the Torah, called HaTorah v'chol masha kasuba, all the Torah and everything that is written in it. Hakol hu b'chtei laharim ish Yehudi l'taroso. It's only there to raise up a Jew and to purify him. Ein zurak mitzvah pratis. This isn't just a general mitzvah. I mean a specific mitzvah. Elach chukas kol Torah, but a statute of all the Torah. And whenever I read these words of this parsha of Zos Chukas HaTorah, I'm reminded of what the Holy Baditchva Rebbe, the Kedushas Levi, said. He says, you should look at every commandment of the Torah, whether you understand it or not, whether it seems important or doesn't seem important, understand it as a chok. What is a chok? A chok, the real definition of the word chok, statute, is a commandment for which we don't have a reason. In other words, what he's saying is we don't keep the Torah and the mitzvahs of the Torah because there's a reason to do it. We keep the Torah because God told us to do it. That's what a chok is. A chok is observing a mitzvah without having to know the reason for it. And that's a very big mile, a very big thing to achieve. It's so easy to look at a particular commandment and say, oh, this was for such and such. And then it becomes distorted. Perfect example. People have said, you weren't allowed to eat pork. That's because of trichnosis. So now we can get around, no, baloney. That's not the reason. It's a chok. God doesn't give the reasons for every mitzvah in the Torah, all 106, 113, even though you might say, well, it makes logical sense not to steal, but you're doing it not because it makes logical sense, because anything that makes logical sense in one generation may not, as we've seen every moment of the day, be logical sense in another generation. You're doing the mitzvahs because this is what God commanded, not for any reason. Reasons don't make any difference. That's why we read this parsha of Porah Adumah before Pesach. 30 days before Pesach. Those 30 days before Pesach, we have the opportunity to get out of all 30 levels of uncleanliness. Every day we rise one level above a particular aspect of Tuma. Ad shebechaga Pesach yitar legamrei. So then finally, when Pesach comes along, you're completely purified. V'yarui lakam hakadush v'hara shel Pesach shvodnei Yisrael am hanevchad. You're then in a state to receive the holiness of Pesach, and where God shows us that we are the Am HaNivchar, the chosen people. And by reading this, we don't have a Porah Duma today. We don't have a Beis Hamikdash, but just reading about it, as we do in Shabbos, the reading itself uh, gives you the Koach HaTorah Shel HaPorah, gives you the power of the power of the Porah Duma. And that's what God left over for us to do, to be able to read it right now and get the same result. That's what all the four special parshas that we've been reading, starting with Parsha Shkalim, Parsha Zachar, now Parsha Porah, then we'll have Parsha Chodesh. All these four parshas before Pesach, they are to raise us up. Parsha Zachar Inyan Mechias Amalek. The Parsha of Zachar talks about blotting out Amalek. B'chol Shar Parshas, all these other four parshas. Akriya Shal Parshas B'Torah, Merimas Yisrael, Machnisa Behem Kedusha. All of these parshas raise us up in one level or another and bring us to a level of holiness. Similarly, the advice that Moshe gave to the children of Israel after the sin of the golden calf, the work in the Beis Hamikdash, the various kinds of labor that was done, that existed when the Beis Hamikdash was in existence. Afilu Be'esha Beis Hamikdash b'chorbeinu, Akriya b'Torah b'Parshas Elu b'Mekadeshes Yisrael Mrimer Osam. But now that the Beis Hamikdash has been destroyed, just the reading in the Torah of these parshas serve to raise us up and to bring us to a level of kedusha. Ki chorban Beis Hamikdash harak b'vatei barai. The destruction of the temple was only on temporary things, on a temporary dwelling. But the permanent dwelling is Bepnimios, are the inner dwellings of the Mishkan inside of you. Shepnimios have Kesher Yisrael Hashem Yisborah. The inner parts of you, the inner Beis Hamikdash that you've created, the inner Mishkan you've created, that's the connection between you and God. Kiyum Tamid B'chal Dovador. It exists in every generation. Yisoda Yisodas Hi Amuna, and the underlying foundation of all this is Amuna, trust in God. Lahamim be'amuna shalema, to believe in perfect Amuna. Shkal oath shebatorah, that every single letter of the Torah, yesh razin de razin, contain many, many secrets, much light, the Yehudi b'chal yadav, to help a Jew in everything that he does. So there you have these two things, Shabbos and the Mikdash. By keeping both of them, and the Mikdash is by being a Mikdash in your heart, this raises us to a level of holiness, a level of Kedusha. I'm going to close the recording, and we can take any questions or comments.